What's happening, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to Junkdrummer TV, where I give my analysis, my hot takes, and my initial reactions of the drummers of today and yesterday, and maybe tomorrow if I stick around that long. I am a gigging musician and a professional drum teacher, and I have been those things for the last 20 years. So on today's episode, we're going to be doing Mike Portnoy, back when he was in Dream Theater, play Under a Glass Moon. Now, Mike Portnoy, from the beginning of this channel, has been one of the most requested drummers that I've gotten. Mike Portnoy is not with Dream Theater anymore. He left to go play in Avenged Sevenfold, and a lot of the fans of Dream Theater gave him a lot of hell, and as a working musician, I completely understood, because I know that Dream Theater, of course, is right now the biggest prog band in the world. They were the second biggest prog band when Rush was still around, and that was, you know, pretty lucrative for a band that plays music that's very challenging and not mainstream at all. But Mike Portnoy decided that he wanted to be in a bigger band, and man, a lot of people didn't want to face it. He wanted that bigger paycheck, because Avenged Sevenfold, of course, is a much bigger band than Dream Theater. Now, that didn't work out well for him, because his band members got really pissed off and kicked him out of the band, and then recorded this whole video replacing him, which had to be mentally damaging for that poor guy to watch that go down. And then, I don't know what happened, but he didn't stay in Avenged Sevenfold all that very long. So now he's kind of just a freelancer. But at one time, second only to Neil Peart, Mike Portnoy was the prog drummer that everyone talks about. Seems like Gavin Harrison is one of those guys now. I did a video on him. You should go check him out. With all that being said, let's check out Mike Portnoy, back when he was in Dream Theater, do Under a Glass Moon. Oh, man. I haven't listened to this song in like 25 years. There was a time when I really wore out that Images and Words record. I was a big prog nerd until Nirvana came along. So playing like a quarter note groove on an auxiliary tambourine. Of course, he has the prerequisite gigantic drum set that you must have if you're in one of the biggest prog bands in the world. Of course, Dream Theater started in Berkeley, and they all play like Berkeley guys. If you don't know what Berklee College of Music is, it's kind of the holy grail of music schools. It's in Boston, and you can't even walk on campus without being a stone cold badass before you even start there. You know, real prog unison licks right here. There's going to be a lot of hyper unison licks in this. You know, no prog band can just start out with vocals. You have to have a gigantic musical interlude before vocals come in. James LaBrie. Kind of the reason I don't listen to them anymore. Bruce Dickinson is really the only singer that has that operatic sound that I enjoy listening to. You know, that's a big thing about them is, you know, he is this hybrid metal drummer. You know, when you think of like Neil and Gavin, those are kind of like prog rock, but he has a lot of metal in his playing. He has that very typical right down the middle time feel. Now I talked about that in another video, and I got some questions. I'm going to put a link in the description of someone else explaining what I mean by playing behind the beat, on the beat, and in front of the beat. He does it way better than I can. But most prog drummers, they play right smack dab on that metronome. And it's kind of necessary for the style of music that they play, because there's a lot of perfect right angles going on, and there's no room for error. Playing the snare drum on the one, on the quarter notes, and then playing a double time groove after that. That's an interesting way to deal with a chorus. The first part of that chorus, he's playing, you know, I call it the Motown groove. Of course, it doesn't sound like Motown here, but playing that snare drum on the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a big unison drum fill that goes with the rest of the band members, and he comes back into it going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's an interesting way to set up a chorus right there. Back to the downbeats. And there's that upbeat groove. There it is, man. If you're going to be a metal drummer, you're going to be a double bass player, you're going to have to be able to do that. Now, as I tell my students, I am not a double bass player at all. I know double bass just well enough to teach it to you, and I don't have a double bass set up here. But what he did there, I don't know if he did sixes or if he did 16th notes, but what he was doing there is, you know, mirroring what he did on his hands with his feet. He either went, and I'm not sure, he either went, which that is me doing it with one hand or with one foot, or he also did the 6. He may have done the 6. That's really hard to do with one foot. Those are much easier with double bass, but that's a very standard double bass lick that you have to know. I'm sure that's going to come back in again. Yeah, man, just compose to the maximum. You know, I like that. Oh, God. Prog nerd. Such prog nerd. To just throw that in the middle of that. You know, he's playing very dynamically. You know, right here, he's bringing the verse down, staying out of the vocals way. As much of an over-the-top drummer that he is, if you notice when the vocals are going on, he's being very aware and just being an accompanist. Standing up to see if there's any girls in the crowd. There's not. There's a rear view mirror right there. Ooh, I call that the Terry Bozzio lick, because Terry Bozzio does it all the time. And again, I don't have a double bass set up, and I'm not going to try to do that one-footed again. But it's that lick. You see, Terry Bozzio did it a lot, where he goes, you know, on splash cymbals. Usually, he uses that a lot. I call that the Terry Bozzio lick. Yeah, you know, he picks his spots to get on the cover of Modern Drummer magazine. Oh, goodness. So before this instrumental section goes on, let's address that. If you notice, when the vocals are there, he's playing like a pretty standard, you know, metal drummer. He's not playing a lot of crazy chops. Even a prog guy like Mike Portnoy knows that when the vocals are going on, drummer, shut up and you know, serve those vocals, because that's the most important thing that's going on there. Now, here in a minute, he's about to unleash hell, and it's going to be over-the-top craziness. But that's a big thing with him, especially those first 2 records. I know there was one before all that, but Images and Words and Awake, which were the 2 that I'm aware of. You know, when the vocals were happening, he was just playing like just a rock drummer. And then when the vocals weren't, he wasn't. Yeah, hyper unison, you know. I like that riding on that splash, even though I don't really like splashes or use them ever. Oh, right there. Okay, so there's a lick. That lick right there is the here to lick. It's this one. And he uses it in between the toms and the splash cymbals and the snare drum. I've already explained the here to. Go to the Carter Beauford video. I think it's the episode 2. That also is a great example of how you know, that same lick can be used in completely different types of music, because Carter Beauford uses it all the time in the Dave Matthews Band, and Mike Portnoy just used it here with Dream Theater, and those two styles of music don't get any different. But it's an example of how like a lick kind of travels. It will travel over genres. Like I said, I explained that. I don't want to do it again here, but it's in the Carter Beauford video. Yeah, it's like the double bass version of the Bonham lick, playing those sixes. Oh, listen to that crowd. When John Petrucci blasts that guitar solo, you can just hear nothing but dudes in the crowd. Man, if you were ever to go to a Dream Theater concert, and of course I've never seen them live, but I almost guarantee that it's a whole bunch of just music, prog, nerd guys, and a bunch of girls with their arms crossed, wishing they weren't there. No, I'm going to say that, and there's going to be a female in the commenters that's going to kill me. Playing that offbeat, off those ands. Playing a cymbal stack. Man, it's just perfection. Taking the idea of Rush and putting a lot more metal into it. That's really what's going on here. Notice how, he's a big hitter and stuff, but there's not a whole lot of effort being expended here. You can tell a lot of this is routine. You can tell that he probably puts a lot of those, ooh, I like that little lick. That's another great lick that will cross genres for you. It's that one and, putting that on the hi-hat and opening that hi-hat on each, on the one and. That lick, man, you can use that in every style of music. I think that might be the big example of this video, is how licks can travel genres. And again, just a really nice technique. You can tell this guy's trained with some of the greatest drummers in the world since he went to Berkeley. Perfect technique. I preach technique. I got killed in the Travis Barker video for complaining about his technique, and his technique is bad. And the only reason that I stress technique is because I'm a drum teacher, and if someone comes and they're going to pay me a decent wage to show them how to play drums, I'm going to try to show them the most efficient, easiest way to do that. And good technique just makes everything easier. Yep, standing up. Man, maybe there was like 3 girls at this show. I hear you. There's gonna be no Van Halen backstage pass work on this. Right here, this is just a keystone of modern prog music, is these hyper unison things that's going on right here. I'm going to back this up just a little bit. This kind of becomes, like a recurring theme in this song. Of course, as prog players, it's very compositional. They're using influences of every kind of music. I think that's when prog is done at its best, is when you're melding every kind of music. Hell, Rush did it. I mean, in the 80s, Rush were obviously influenced by new wave music, and I know that Neil was influenced by Stuart Copeland, so they even took in new styles as they came along. A lot of people don't like 80s Rush. I think they're wrong. I love 80s Rush. That's a great takeaway from this video, I think, is, taking every style, every lick, and not worrying about what the genre is and putting it in your style. You're seeing a lot of that today. Slick, putting that little high crash there. So there's that chorus. See, now he's back to just being, accompanying the vocals. He just got all. Yeah, he just got all of his during that instrumental section. It's time to serve the song again. that one right there when I'm teaching double bass. It's one of the first. That's kind of the AC/DC beat of double bass, is, you know, running digga 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 and going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and dooga dagga dooga dagga dooga dagga dooga dagga. You know, if you're gonna be a double bass player, that's the first lick that you should play, I think. Oh, there it is. There's that lick between the hands and feet. I'm going to take it back a little bit so you can check that out. There's a lot of... There it is. A lot of classic licks for this style of drumming in this song. Now, I know as Dream Theater went along, their instrumental stuff... And there it is again. Let me complete that thought. I know as Dream Theater went along, their instrumental stuff got, you know, even more insane. I had a student at my last recital. He's 15 years old. He actually played the Dance of Eternity instrumental. And I know that song has something like, God, like 56 time signature changes. Everything that we saw today was pretty much in 4/4. I think it all was in 4/4. So, Mike Portnoy, I think the big takeaway from today is how licks will... That's the big thing I want to really stress today, is how licks will travel across genres. You know, I picked out 2 or 3 different things that you can play in every kind of music, and I think that's another thing today. You know, if you're not a big prog listener, man, you should listen to it. You should listen to everything. That's the big one. Listen to all the music, man. You can learn stuff that will enable you to play better from just about any kind of music. Again, I don't listen to Dream Theater that much anymore. Man, I did when I was teaching that kid how to play that instrumental Dream Theater song. Whew, that was ridiculously hard, and I didn't even have to play it. But listening to every style of music, you can learn something from everyone. From punk rock drumming to country drumming, hip-hop, everything. You know, when people ask me what kind of music you listen to, I say good music, and that's pretty much it. And sometimes I'll listen to bad music, or sometimes listen to bad music will give you examples of what not to do. So there you go, man. Mike Portnoy, Dream Theater, Under a Glass Moon. Brother Mike, I'm sorry you don't have a gig anymore. Your career choices kind of bit you in the ass, and that kind of sucks. But you're also one of the best drummers in the world, and you're well taken care of. So I think you'll live. So if you enjoyed all that, please give me a double tap on the subscription and the notification bell. Please feel free to like, comment, and share. And remember, keep practicing until it's easy.